Hi, welcome to Loft 801. My name is Diego, and today I'm talking about Kinds of Kindness, directed by Yorgos Lanthimos. I'll be honest, I'm not really a fan of Yorgos and his movies. I skipped Poor Things, and I'll have to go back and watch it, and maybe this year's Begonia will change my mind, but Kinds of Kindness did not do it for me. It's a triptych about control, identity, and the sacrifices we make in pursuits of love and belonging. Quick heads up, this review may contain the occasional spoiler, but I'll do my best to avoid them. The film unfolds in 3 segments. Firstly, the death of RMF. Robert, played by Jesse Plemons, lives under the ultra-strict guidance of his employer, Raymond, played by Willem Dafoe. Every aspect of his life is dictated, from what he eats to what he wears and to the things he does throughout the day, down to the minute. When he finally stands up to Raymond and Raymond disappears on him, Robert doesn't know what to do with his newfound freedom and his life falls apart. His wife leaves him, and eventually his loneliness and desperation to appease in return for love and acceptance force him back into Raymond's clutches. The second segment is RMF is Flying, and it is the most emotionally disturbing and psychologically complex segment. Daniel, also Plemons, is a police officer whose missing wife has been found. His wife Liz is played by emmastone, and her behavior suggests that she's not the same person. This is a reminder that trauma can permanently change us. Daniel becomes paranoid, and the story becomes an allegory for domestic abuse. We never see him beat her, but he does ask her to cut off her finger and feed it to him. This might seem strange, but if you look behind the lines, this shocking body horror scene is about self-preservation. Liz justifies the abuse because it's the best scenario she can possibly hope for until her eventual demise. Her need to please and prove her love to her husband ultimately destroys her. The final segment, RMF Eats a Sandwich, examines faith and obsession through a surreal and satirical lens. Emily, also played by Emma Stone, is a sex cult member searching for a woman capable of resurrection. Guided by cryptic dreams and strange rituals, this film is about spiritual longing. Emily is a scientist, but she behaves more like a disciple. Her abuse, trauma, and control are a commentary on how religious institutions and belief systems can objectify and destroy the very people they claim to revere. This film is interesting because Emily is an SA victim, but she becomes an abuser herself, highlighting the disturbing cycle of harm. At its core, Kinds of Kindness is a thematic experience. Every story is fundamentally about control versus free will. Robert is controlled by Raymond's commands. Liz is controlled by her husband Daniel, and Emily is manipulated by her cult. The question this film tries to pose is, are we really free, or are we just acting out rules someone else chose for us? I think it's a stupid philosophical question with no definitive answer. Determinism contradicts moral responsibility and doesn't make sense under a human lens. Anyways, the triad is very satirical. Even the word kindness in the title is ironic. We never actually see kindness in the film. Instead, kindness is portrayed as submission, control, and exploitation. I'm not the biggest fan of satire, so the absurd premises don't really work for me. I admire the actors and their emotionless reactions to horrific events, but tonally, this movie just doesn't resonate with me. I don't find this film unsettling or funny. Despite the surreal and whimsical nature of the film, I think it does pose some good questions. Can you still be you after trauma or indoctrination? Are we born with identity, or is it programmed? If someone changes how they act, are they still the same person? Essentially, Yorgos explores what makes a person themselves. I somewhat mentioned it, but all the actors do a wonderful job with their restraint of emotion. I love that all the actors played 3 distinct characters across the anthology. Jesse Plemons is perfectly stunted and robotic as Robert. He's wonderfully paranoid and obsessed as Daniel. He's incredibly devout and unblinking as Andrew. Emma Stone is also right at home in Yorgos' world. She's tragic, elusive, and desperate in her portrayals of Sarah, Liz, and Emily. Margaret Qualley has a ghostly and dreamlike quality that fits her characters of Vivian and Ruth. Lastly, Willem Dafoe rounds out the cast by playing authority figures in each film. He represents 3 different kinds of control: the soft-spoken, manipulating dictator, the passive observer, and the coercive cult leader. Dafoe is a generational talent. His face alone can change him from a gentle mentor to a terrifying manipulator with a slight smile. He is the perfect casting for his roles. Shot on 35mm Kodak film, the film employs an anamorphic aspect ratio to create a sense of disorientation. The visual style is characterized by symmetrical compositions and a muted color palette. This helps reinforce the themes of control and artificiality. I like that each segment had distinct visual motifs. The first story felt very sterile and reflected Robert's constrained existence. The second employed natural lighting and cluttered spaces to mirror Daniel's psychological turmoil. And lastly, the third presented a surreal, dreamlike aesthetic aligning with Emily's cult-like fervor. Each setting was great and helped the film feel fresh. Now, despite the fresh settings, this movie is very long. Running for 2 hours and 45 minutes, each short film drags on a little longer than it should. I think that's one of my biggest problems with Yorgos' films. He loves to take an allegory and stretch it. Some people love that, but I unfortunately don't. In short film form, sure. In feature film form, not so much. I don't think allegories and thematic depth are usually strong enough to justify a long runtime. I think good stories justify that, and even then, you might get diminishing returns on your runtime. All of that is to say, I think this movie is a little too long for a casual viewer. Kinds of Kindness is a bold, challenging film that asks a lot of its audience, and depending on your taste, it rewards that investment or tests your patience. For me, it was a little of both. I admired the precision of the acting, the thematic cohesion, and the conceptual ambition of tying three distinct stories together with a shared cast and overlapping motifs. But the coldness, the slow pacing, and the cryptic satire left me more disconnected than engaged. I think there's some intellectual value here and some impressive artistic craft, but emotionally and narratively, I just didn't connect with it. If you're a fan of Yorgos Lanthimos or enjoy dissecting metaphor-heavy cinema, this might be your thing. But if you're like me and prefer stories that blend their symbolism with a bit more heart and plot, this one might miss the mark. I respect what it tried to do, it's just not my kind of kindness. Thank you for listening to my review of Kinds of Kindness. If you enjoyed the content, leave a like and hit subscribe. If you did not enjoy the content, thank you for sticking around. As always, I would love to read what you have to say, so leave a comment and let me know what you're thinking. Also, if there's something you want to see reviewed, don't forget to let me know and I will do my best to get to it. Lastly, if you want to see some more from me, then you can check out my vlogs linked up above or my podcast Good Friends. Again, thank you for watching. My name is Diego and I will see you next time.